Welcome to Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered. I played it on the Xbox Series X. It's also available on the Series S, Xbox One, PS5, PS4, PC, and Nintendo Switch. So let's get into the story. You play as Kyle Katarn. He left the Empire, he joined the Rebels for a price, and he is tasked with tracking down and discovering information about the Dark Trooper, whatever this evil project is. Of course, it can never be as simple as that, and there are some twists and turns along the way, and it's a perfectly adequate story is what I'll say about it. I don't think it's necessarily a mind-blowing story, and it didn't exactly drive me through the game. It was there just enough. But then let's get into the audio. And the first thing I'm going to say is the music, man, wow. Oh. Some of it is good and recognizable or good-ish. Some of it is, wow, just really bad and has aged absolutely horribly. It really feels like this music should have been just redone from the ground up. Some of it, just with the old sound effects, gives some serious, like, Resident Evil Director's Cut vibes for the music. Not all of it, though. Like, some of it is very recognizable, some of it works, and some of it just sounds horrible. The audio quality throughout for the music is pretty bad. But due to the technology, the actual composition of the music, and the way they generated the music, it hurts at times. As for the voiceover work, there isn't a huge amount of it. There are a few real cutscenes where you get some voiceover and it's well done. I don't think it's necessarily all flawless, but it's done well enough, I guess. And then you have the actual sound effects, which a lot of those are well done, and those sound actually way better than the music from like a quality standpoint. Not to say that it's flawless, but it does sound better. But you do get all your blaster sounds. The different blasters have different sounds. You have, you know, your different enemy sounds and their one-liners and whatnot, and it works. The blaster sounds are good. The one-liners are fine. The audio quality on some of them, not so good. Audio quality on the blasters, pretty good. Which leads us into the gameplay mechanics and whatnot, and this is just a straight up FPS. And it's an old school FPS where you have secret areas and you're smashing your face on walls to try and find all the different secret areas. But when you're not smashing your face against walls for secret areas, there are missions, you have your objectives. It takes me back to a time when you didn't have great guidance, and there were times where I was really just wandering around, not entirely sure what I was supposed to be doing to complete this objective, which got a little frustrating at times, but overall, I got past it. Occasionally I had to look up in a guide to be like, oh, that's what I was supposed to do. But once I did that, you know, complete objectives, have a good time. There are quite a few missions. None of them take an insane amount of time. Once you know what you're doing, you can actually burn through each of the missions fairly quickly. The game is also on a life-based system. You run out of lives, you restart the mission, but you can respawn at basically not exactly where you were at a checkpoint, but the same progress will have been there. The one thing that actually kind of impressed me was the different weapons. I think they did an awesome job with all the different weapons and making them feel different. Kyle's pistol and like the Imperial blaster use the same ammo type, but they both fire very differently. His pistol is accurate but slow, blaster less accurate but fast. And you have other weapons that use different types of ammo, and they do function differently, and I thought that was well done. They didn't just feel like shitty clones of each other. Otherwise, you're moving around, there's different enemies to blast and take care of, as well as occasionally rescue. There's no shitty like escort missions like we're so used to nowadays. The maps are of a good size, there's a good amount of exploration, and obviously, as I pointed out, there's secrets, there's fun references to, you know, Star Wars as a whole throughout. And honestly, the gameplay was fun. It was fun to go back and experience the game once again. I played this way back when on the PlayStation 1. Because this is an older game, it does have a pretty hefty aim assist, which I actually liked because the controls aren't 100% there, which I guess we will lead into the controls. Overall, I think the controls work well, and compared to playing this on the PS1 when the PS1 didn't have analog sticks, this is a huge step up because you can really free aim on a controller now. That being said, while your character moves when you want them to, the movement is very floaty and it makes some of the platforming problematic at times. There were definitely times where I needed to make jumps and my movement was sketched, so I was jumping way too soon. So just how floaty the movement is kind of really sucks. But are the controls responsive? Yes. Was I able to aim at and shoot my enemies? Yes. I think they were well mapped out. So overall, I think the controls were good. They could be better. Now let's get into the graphics and visuals, and this game still looks really, really dated. Really, this feels like all they did was, you know, bump it up to HD, make it widescreen, and allow you to play it on newer consoles. I mean, throughout the game, all of your enemies look like 2D sprites in a 3D-ish world. And there are times, if you're above them looking down, you can see that they really are, in fact, 2D sprites. They're not 3D objects. It's 2D sprites from different angles, essentially. But what you're looking at is always a paper cutout. And it still looks very, like, ye olde pixelated because that's what we had back on the PlayStation. But I do like the different things that they bring in from the Star Wars universe. Your different Imperial enemies, bounty hunters, other enemy mercenaries, etc. I think they do a good job representing those. It is a bit limited, but that comes with this being a much older game. And as I mentioned, I like the variety of weapons that you got and the different effects using them, making them not only look different, but function different and having different effects for their blasts. The concussive weapon, having one weapon shoot it as these little balls, another where it's basically a blast that just pops up under their ass. I also think the environments, the worlds you went to were cool. I mean, obviously the amount of detail there is, you know, basically non-existent, because again, this game is over 20 years old. It is in fact 29 years old, 28 for the PlayStation. So wow. And visually it shows. The cutscenes look like these kind of hand-drawn, but not like high-quality hand-drawn affairs with minimal animation, some animation, and it wasn't exactly terrible, but it also wasn't really good, and it very much shows its age. Summing that up, basically visuals are not necessarily the strongest part of this, but I think it actually ran really smoothly, which was nice. It absolutely should. If they couldn't get this running smooth, that would have been a travesty. So this is going to lead me into the wrap up, and the first thing I'm going to say is I don't consider this a remaster. This is an HD re-release. The graphics don't look any better. The gameplay is better than the PlayStation 1, but you know, ye olde mouse and keyboard I'm sure gave you full free aiming and everything, so that's just here on the new generation. But visually, it doesn't look any better. The audio is rough as hell. So calling this a remaster, I feel, is a dirty, filthy lie. That being said, I had a lot of fun replaying this game. I was very much into it. It could be the nostalgia, but I think it actually plays surprisingly well, and I had a good time with it. I'd honestly love Dark Forces 2 to get a remaster, let's call it what it is, HD re-release, because I'd like to go back and play that. So really, I actually enjoyed this and I don't have a problem recommending this. I had a good time going back through this. Okay, in the comments down below, why don't you tell me, would you like to see a Dark Forces 2 HD re-release? And as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I'm doing in general, share and subscribe. Have a good one.